So hello everyone and welcome back to a new episode from Journal de Sylvie. Today I want to run with you a comparison between the two planning systems of Traveler's Notebook versus the Hobonichi. So yes, I am switching for 2023 my planning system to the Hobonichi weeks. And the main reason is that I wanted to change, look at something different. I think change is more interesting and exciting. But if I am to choose one also additional practical reason to share with you for switching from Traveler's Notebook to Hobonichi Weeks will be the concern of space and storage. So let me elaborate what I mean by that. So if you are using the Traveler's Notebook system, you will need to purchase one notebook to have your monthly planning. So this will offer you the monthly overview, your travel plans, your appointments, and so on. So that's one insert. And then for the weekly planning, regardless what type of layout, because they do offer multiple templates, it's always covering only 6 months. So if you are to buy the dated one, they sell them in a set of 2. So you end up with 2 inserts for weekly planning to be able to cover the entire year. They do not have a weekly planner that covers entire 52 weeks of the year. So this leaves you already with 3 inserts, a total of 3. Now, if you are like me and you need extra space, extra blank pages for notes, shopping list, to-do list, maybe a quick brain dump, projects you work on at home or whatever, you will probably need to add another blank insert to this setup and add it to your system. So at this point, we are talking about a minimum of 3 notebooks up to 4 notebooks to cover the planning system of only 1 year. So to be completely honest, I started to be concerned about the storage. So whether you store your notebooks in drawers or cabinets, I personally think this is a bit too much. Not to mention the fact that because of the design of the notebook, you cannot identify from the side which year they belong to. So if you put them on vertical layout, for example, in your shelf, you will not be able to identify. You have to go and, I guess, grab each and see the label of it. Of course, they do offer solutions for this by, I think they sell some craft folders where you tag, but you see now you have to make another purchase and it does increase a bit the complexity of the workflow. I'm not very big fan of the design of those folders. And that led me to consider the Hobonichi Weeks, because the Hobonichi Weeks has the monthly overview, the weekly planning, up to, I think, 150 if you buy the Mega, but this one offers 75 blank note pages. So, and all in one notebook that is relatively small and slim. They also have here the year. It says here 23, which means if you store them like books on a vertical style on a shelf, you can easily identify this notebook belongs to which year. So now that it sounds almost too good to be true that everything is in this small notebook, of course, in all fairness, this came at a cost. And I'm not talking much about the dollar value because I would say it depends on how much accessories you buy. More or less, both of them are in the same bracket. However, to have this significant space optimization, there are some accommodations that I have to train myself to apply to be able to efficiently use the Hobonichi Weeks. So let me explain what I mean by that through the comparison we will do between both systems. And then you can, hopefully this will help you to decide which system works better for you. So the first thing when you open the notebook, the very first thing you notice is, of course, the type of paper in the Hobonichi is significantly delicate. It's the Tomo River paper. So be considerate of how much pressure and force you apply to your pages so you don't risk having it torn apart or something. So this is something new for me that I will have to accommodate with. And another very obvious difference is anything printed, the font in the Hobonichi is significantly smaller. something you may consider if it's okay with you or not. The first thing is to compare the 2 years at a glance. In the Traveler's Notebook, you have the current year and the following year, where in the Hobonichi, you have the current year, and on the opposite page, you have last year as well, plus the following year. The last year and the next year in Hobonichi are relatively smaller font compared to the current year. However, both are smaller compared to the font of the Traveler's Notebook. Both system offers a blank space for extra reminders at the bottom. However, in the Hobonichi, it's labeled for important dates or events. If you wish to use this for a different purpose, you can cover that title with a washi tape. Moving on to the entire current year at a glance. Now, over here, they both have the from 1 to the 31st vertical labeling. The year at a glance in the Traveler's Notebook have absolutely no indication of what day it is. They only mention the number of the week, where in the Hobonichi they have it all labeled by days and they color code the weekends, which is Saturday, Sunday. And I definitely prefer the Hobonichi in that regard, because when I'm doing a yearly traveling plans or any yearly overview, I prefer to see what day it is rather than the number of the week. For the extra space they leave you with, the Traveler's Notebook offer this bottom blank footer, and they already label it as travel plans. You can cover this if you want to use it for a different purpose. However, the equivalent of this in the Hobonichi is on the upper side as a header, and it's like a table made out of 7 horizontal lines, which can be used for different purposes, such as maybe up to 7 habits if you like to use trackers, and you monthly average each and create some form of a chart. Moving on to the monthly layout. First thing in the Traveler's Notebook, you will notice that the square is of course slightly bigger than the Hobonichi one. I personally don't mind, because I usually add 1 or 2 appointments and I always ended up with extra space on that square. So I don't mind the smaller one. The second main difference is the side margin. In Traveler's Notebook, you have the previous month, the current month, and the 4 following months. The equivalent of this margin in the Hobonichi is completely blank for extra reminders or notes. I don't mind the blank, of course, because I never really used this calendar, so I prefer to have the space for me to write anything. In this particular monthly overview is where you're going to see the number of the weeks, which I thought it's better to have it in the monthly overview, because you will consistently be able to identify on a monthly basis the number of the week. Both offer the blank footer for extra notes and reminders. For the Traveler's Notebook, once you finish December, they offer you 1 extra month from the following year, where in the Hobonichi, they offer you 3 months from the following year. In other words, if you are, once you reach December, you only have 1 month to start switching planners, where if you are using the Hobonichi weeks, you have 3 months before you need to do that. So they give you January, February, and March from the following year. The monthly insert in the Traveler's Notebook have a couple of reference pages. One is the global map with the capitals and a table of time zones, and followed by conversion tables and conversion unit tables, and a small blank map where you can add some travel comments, and of course the side ruler. So those 2 pages do not exist in the reference section of the Hobonichi, with the exception of the ruler. In the monthly of Traveler's Notebook, you have extra like 4 or 5 blank pages for extra notes. And of course, the Hobonichi weeks, the standard comes with 75 pages. So that is definitely, in this particular aspect, I favor the Hobonichi. Now to compare the weekly system, between Traveler's Notebook. The weekly system is very similar, at least the one I always pick. So it's mainly the horizontal layout on the left-hand side for the 7 days of the week. And on the right-hand side, I have the blank memo. This is one of the templates that both offers and is perfect. I would say that in the Hobonichi, they add weekly quotes. I definitely could have benefit from the extra space. However, if I cannot relate to the quote, I will cover it with decorative washi tapes. But there is great similarity in the weekly layouts, and both systems don't offer you any weekly system for the following year. It just finishes at December. And that's pretty much it. The rest of the Hobonichi reference pages and the system I will share in my next video when I talk about my setup and what type of leather cover I'm using. I just want to make this video strictly about the comparison between the two systems and the pros and cons of each. So both systems work fine. It's 100% up to your personal preference. I hope the factors that I brought up can help you to decide if you are to choose between those two brands, which one is more convenient for you. So thank you for watching and happy planning.